How do you get the industry news that's relevant to you and helps you stay informed? If you say word of mouth or social media, why are you paying for a monthly news subscription? Just between us, how many emails that you manually have to sift through are stacked up in your inbox right now? And let's be honest, does that clubhouse or podcast really hold your attention? Is there a better way to get the important takeaways that really matter to you? What if AI can help? Stay right where you are. Say hello, join the live chat, and feel welcome. This is ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where some people learn more about how the automotive industry really works. Let's get started with top industry news and headlines that include, to some degree, America's Group acquires Wisconsin auto auction, Trump doubles down on steel tariffs, and what automotive news actually matters. We're looking at the news, and that's why we're looking at, can we build a new automotive podcast with Todd, Tom, David, and AI? That's what we're doing tonight. And I know, listen, you know that there's a need, because look at the view numbers. Look at anywhere you go, whether it's a live show like you're at now, whether you're in a webinar, look at the live views and think, man, where is everybody? What's everybody else doing? Why am I here? Why am I here now? Right? What am I hoping to get? I mean, why even do this? AI could wipe out 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs. Now, there's a headline that gets my attention. But am I seeing that in automotive news media sources? So is there an automotive AI program that will give me all the important takeaways so I don't have to sit through boring content? I asked Chat GPT. And the answer is yeah, there are several automotive AI tools that can help you skip the boring parts, get the key takeaways quickly. That's what we want. So here's a recommendation. SaneBox for automotive podcast videos. I don't even know what that is. Adify, YouTube AI Summarizer. I haven't even heard of that. Audio Open or Otter AI. Now, we've heard of Otter AI, but I still see people turning that off because it's not giving them what they want. Feedly and Leo AI, and then here we go. Now we're into all this AI. We don't even know what it is. What does it do? Yeah, can you help me build a workflow? That's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do that with Todd Smith, CEO of Core AI, Tom Kline, founder and consultant, Better Vantage Point, and he's very creative. Tom was with us when we came up with the show idea about 6 weeks ago. And David Ray works with tech. He's also a consultant, and he's really into AI. So, as I say, get to know your ecosystem, or just follow the billionaire that sells the most shares of stock ever. We are the neutral zone because we go ahead and talk about... Okay. Well, you don't know that's a pump and dump. I'll do it as a question, that way that's not an allegation. Is that a pump and dump? Are you on a hamster wheel with your news and information and your email inbox and everything else? Meanwhile, you got to... See, the problem with this guy, he's not smiling. You have to smile the whole time. If you don't, you could lose your job. It's Tuesday night, automotive ecosystem, and I'm asking the question, what is the importance of news? It keeps us informed about current events, empowers us to make informed decisions, and fosters a sense of civic engagement. That's the AI answer. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So I see, let's go through this. Let's go through the news cycle. All right. Here I see America's Group expanding presence in Wisconsin. Is this news? Does this help me? Yeah, I guess I need to know that. Toyota becomes top shareholder in air taxi maker. Do I need to know that? Does that do anything for me? Carvana same-day delivery offering expands into Denver. Do I believe that's going to work out well? Gosh, the traffic in Denver, the rush hour in Denver. Is that in the story? Did I have to search for that on my own? Trump revokes EV policies with speed and uncertain legal standing. Didn't I kind of see that coming? Trump to sign order doubling metal tariffs. Does that matter? By the way, what does this My News button up here in the corner do that you can't see? Okay, get a new mouse. Here's how Ford thinks it can reduce the impact of tariffs. Tariffs aren't a problem. I don't know. Would I read that story? What if this story could be read to me? And I can just hit skip. Michigan auto suppliers seek to survive tariffs and avoid job cuts. Yeah, job cuts gets my attention. Maybe that should be part of the algorithm that feeds me more information. Musk calls Trump's spending bill a disgusting abomination. Why can't I have politics in my news? Isn't that part of the news? What did I get out of this? A question that asks about the positive outcomes, benefits. What am I getting? Why am I doing this? So I went through some of the automotive news usual suspects and, automotive news. And I underlined stuff that interested me out of the everything that I'm seeing. Actually, the picture of the cyber taxi does interest me as well. Tariffs explained. Is that even possible? Interest in EVs at lowest level since 2019. That's interesting. All right. So score 2 for automotive news. Auto remarketing, and below this is the fold where, Joe and Nick have the podcast, which that does interest me at times. But none of these articles interested me. And their journey from lockdown, I don't care about that either. So, CBT. Okay. EU warns of retaliation over Trump tariffs. Does that only interest me because I don't wave a flag for any president? I don't know. Nothing else interested me. And what I did see though is, let's put a pin in this. You see the middle article? Put a pin in that, as Joe Percari likes to say. I go here. Nothing really interested me. That happens a lot. In my LinkedIn feed, okay. What I noticed is this is in my LinkedIn feed. There it is again in my LinkedIn feed, or rather in a traditional news outlet. And then here it is in my email. So has this gone? Does it take ad dollars to get my attention? And still, I don't know if I'm going to tune into that. That doesn't interest me at all. No. I'm not. Do I want to sift through this? Really? And man, so much work was put into this, and I got to sift through it? I don't want to do that either. So what do I need? Does anybody know what I want, what I need? Like Reddit with your thumbs up, thumbs down. That's pretty cool. It's a good format. And how about, let's go back to YouTube algorithm evolution. Yeah, personal preference. See, the algorithm knows what I'm doing, what I'm seeing. None of my automotive news knows what I'm doing, what I'm seeing, do they? And so when I see these updates of software, I'm thinking, is there something in it what's in it for me? Because okay, this was on LinkedIn, randomly on LinkedIn. That actually interests me. She's now working somewhere else. Yeah, okay, that's helpful. Oh, wow. This came in my email. A phishing attack alert. Yeah, right. Because if I'm booking anything at a trade show, yeah, I got to know this stuff. This is good to know. Okay, so what else? Oh, yeah, weather, a severe weather warning. Why not? Or maybe an auction warning or a traffic alert or, yeah, who in my network is going to that trade show? That'd be cool. I could use that in my automotive news. A reminder of a webinar that I may not even go to. But maybe I can get the takeaways. Or maybe there's yeah, you know what? Yeah, I could use an upgrade of AI artwork in my marketing so I can let them go too. Or random interesting science news. heat caught on camera bouncing like sound. I don't know, maybe that affects my car. Maybe the ACV under the car scanner could use that science. Why am I sifting through stuff? Even this alert requires me to sift. So, yeah, I noticed that people are interested in tonight's show because it's about AI. We're all somewhat interested in what is the rise of the AI first company? How will this reshape our work, our media, our habits? We still want to be human beings, but we could use that convenience. So, all right. So I said, here's what happened. It was like 2 months ago, month and a half ago, and I had a show with Tom Kline and Todd Smith, and we were talking about, it was 50 ways to sue the dealer. And we didn't even really get into that because I started going off on other stuff that to me just seemed more interesting than 50 ways to sue the dealer. And it's really been bugging me that there's all these, man, I've been a media guy forever, and there's all these podcasts, and some, I don't know, half of them, are they still even going? Why? Okay, let's look at why ATI. Why even do this? What is this? So I asked Chat GPT, what do you think about ATI? ATI to business, widely recognized, valuable, objective resource. I mean, are those my words? Or who said this? Right? It analyzed my website, my LinkedIn, my YouTube, unfiltered educational content. I think I said that. Community engagement, it's debatable. Coverage of industry relevant topics, as much as anybody. Multi-platform accessibility, yeah, YouTube, audio, LinkedIn. Practical real-world insights and a commitment to serving as a hub for ongoing education. Yeah, I think that stuff's true. So I thought, all right, well, what if we... Oh, geez. What if we could break down, why we're doing what we're doing? And maybe we could make it better. And I was asking Todd and Tom if they had some ideas about how we might do that. And what came up was, well, maybe we can use AI, and maybe we can actually do something live. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring them in. Todd, Tom, David, get ready. And if you have anything in the live chat, that's fine. If not, but here's what I think. I think it might be possible that many people, many companies, and in fact, I think it was Tom that said any company now is a media company. And that seems to be true because not only, people already have their own marketing, but it's really with LinkedIn. You can really storm the gates with your agenda, your message, and in fact, you can control it. And the more money you throw at it, the bigger it can be, and it can be whatever you want. And it's really gone into now a lot of companies have podcasts. But what's interesting about the company podcast is they're very inconsistent. They don't seem to be that great. They're obviously self-serving. So how could you, I think many companies, CEOs, I don't exactly know who is asking this question, but I think the question is being asked, how do we make a company media that doesn't seem so self-serving, is more consistent, and actually delivers news to people, news, information, takeaways, our agenda, in a meaningful way that they actually tune into? Because right now, you'll still see it, there's company webinars, man, the attendance for those blows. You'll see some video shorts. They don't seem very informative. They're doing anything they can just to get your attention. So what's happened to marketing and media? How do we use AI to crack the code, get back on track so people care about not only our company message, but the news that surrounds our company message and helps people that we do business with, that we like, that we want to see at trade shows? We shouldn't be relying on word of mouth. Hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you hear that? We're still relying on that a lot. And yet at the same time, in our personal lives, we're getting all kinds of news. When a national news headline hits, whatever, whether it's Diddy or the Colorado thing, everybody knows within minutes. Is now why? Is that because it's not really news, it's more that fear-driven gossip? Why can't real news be that way? Why do we have to keep giving away awards and buying people's attention? Let's try to build an automotive podcast tonight. Do me a favor, stick around. After this, we're going to be live with Todd, Tom, and David. This should be pretty interesting. We'll be right back.
Understanding web traffic at your site can be a funny thing. Who, when, why? Then you have things like bounce rates, visit times, return traffic. The point is, you have traffic, but are you capitalizing on all that traffic and why they came to your site to begin with? You may do moving, vehicle inspections, car auctions, custom car building, car clubbing. Quotify is the first online shipping utility feature that helps you to retain the relevant traffic and capture business which is typically just sent away. It instantly allows your visitors to see multiple shipping companies' rates and live reviews with an option to book the shipment now or email it for later. If you have car shipping relevant traffic, then why not swing the bat and make some money along with some other added benefits? The best part of Quotify is that it's free. Yes, that's right. We actually pay you to offer your visitors something they most likely need anyways. So let's wrap this up. It's a totally free utility feature that will increase your site visit times, lower your bounce rates, increase return rates, and we even pay you to use it. Sounds too good to be true. It's not. Sign up today or call now to speak with a commercial account specialist.
Don't lose any more sleep worrying about missing leads. Get Transport Auto Quoter to quote the right price the first time, every time. Run your business with TAQ. Visit transportautoquoter.com. All right, here we go. By the way, I've got I'm clicking buttons and they're not all working, but that's okay. I've got AI on my side. Please do help me wish a warm welcome to Tom, Todd, and David. Wow.
Wow. We're all here.
Wow, we're here. David, you are added to the group because you have been kind of an AI guy that I've been relying on. We've been talking about AI and automation stuff for at least a year.
Yeah, I think the first product that we were talking about, there was a tool that I was building for quoting where it could read your inbox and kind of figure out, oh, this is a quote request or this is a request for invoice payment or something like that. But yeah, that was at least a year and a half ago.
Right. And so we had that show like 6 weeks ago. Todd and Tom were on. It was supposed to be 50 Ways to Sue the Dealer. But I don't know. I guess after doing karaoke, I just really was on a brain fart. And I couldn't stop thinking about AI and media. So we started talking about building an automotive AI podcast live. And Todd is saying we could do that or something.
Well, I said, listen, that the object is what would make a great automotive podcast, right? I don't know. Like, I'm willing. We can go
right,
through.
because I was okay. That was part of my gripe.
Right.
Is there was so many. That's the thing. People do gripe in private. I happen to do it in public live.
Nothing wrong with that.
And that's why
I feel like somebody has to. And I just I'm here to say, I know I see the views. Man, I've been in shows. I'm like, where is everybody? I thought there was actually money spent and there's nobody here. Or I go to a webinar and I'm like, really? There's like 3 people? So where is everybody? Why aren't they tuning in? What do we need to do better?
Well, that's a good question, right? So first thing, we can just use, I think we just use Chat GPT off shelf, and we could ask it basic things. Like it will give us some context if we just build like a quick framework for it of, what would make a top automotive podcast, right? Maybe that would be a good way to start and kind of let the story unfold. So I kind of preempted that a little bit. And I kind of went in and I just was kind of goofing off saying, okay, what would make a really good podcast, right? Like building that winning podcast in a crowded market. So this to me is kind of theming it.
Hey, Todd, can you make your
Yep.
screen a little bit bigger, please, so everybody
Thanks,
can see it?
Tom.
Yeah, here, hold on. We're up. There we go. How's that?
Thank you.
Good.
And-
I know, Tom. We got those glasses like me. Can't see anything. So,
Coke bottles.
yep, working through it. So, so I think this is what you just said, Jay. Right? General podcasts are pretty much dead. So,
Yeah.
how do you build it out? So I said, okay, we're going to pick our niche, automotive. So and it auto defaulted to me, but I don't care about that. So then I went and listened. I read through this. It was like, every episode should solve a real problem, offer strategic insight, or give some type of transformation story. This is raw, just suggestion. I'm not saying this is good yet. Let's just read along. Looking at flywheels, you want to build an audience, but more important than audience is network effect, right? Because you need your audience to share it to create a bigger audience, right? So we'll have to take that into consideration. So how do you turn your guests into promoters? So that's, giving them assets to share, listeners into contributors, which is, I think, what you're saying, that nobody
Yes.
right now, like, you don't even know if they're even listening and they're not really contributing to it.
And you can't do any, even
Right.
the live chat, you can't do anything.
Yep. So, and breaking down episodes into assets, right? So
Well,
this is like off the shelf, just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do that. And then obviously guest host chemistry will go beyond that. And then I said, now what all the questions do we need to make a perfect podcast that drives engagement? So I thought we could answer these questions and then see what it spits out. So I need to shrink it for a second so I can at least get the box here so I can, we can answer some of these things. So, so let's just try a little fun. Ideal listener, who are we going to say? Give me an ideal listener.
And I'm gonna pause for 1 second because already I guarantee David and Tom, you're both having ideas. Tom.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a technology, Jay, or maybe you post your Zoom link so that people who are watching the podcast can come on, ask their question, and then you have them leave.
And if it was AI, it'd be even easier for that to be. I think one of the problems here is that, it's not democratic enough.
Well, that will drive more engagement, right? If you have people who can come on, they can ask their questions, and then when you're done answering a question, you bring the next one on, and maybe make that more interactive. I don't know, whether Zoom is the right thing to do or the technology. David and Todd can speak better to that. That's more their thing than mine.
Todd, I like what you're typing at this right now too, because I believe companies really want to crack this nut. So automotive executives, that's really who you want to satisfy.
Yeah.
And how do you satisfy them? I think they're bored by all these podcasts. I think the only people that think these podcasts are great are the podcasters.
Jay,
I don't think they're great.
Okay, what outcomes do you want your audience from listening? So this is it. Do we want practical knowledge? Do we
Kill
want
the monologue? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's get right to it. Every time I do the news, I'm like, man, people hate me.
Right. So
just
how about this? People
get me to it.
need to listen and leave this podcast with
But the news is part of the information.
knowledge about automotive
You know,
tech
and I love that.
also
Keep
a
typing because, like, I'm
flip.
thinking about some of the recent trade shows. Like some of the sessions, I don't think anybody really took a takeaway. It just was an opportunity for more advertising, and it just wasn't real information. Not all of it.
Okay. Okay. So, what do they complain about most in our job and industry as an auto executive? As an exec,
And at the same time, here's 925. What does he want versus what does an auto exec want? And that's
Right.
where I don't know
Too
how we figured
much
this out.
technology and not enough understanding. Lots of legal issues in automotive now.
And I also
that-
think, like, you know what? National news that actually intersects business.
So, thinking nationally, but giving it a local vibe. Okay. What do you wish someone would say out? What do you wish someone would just say out loud? Oh, that's a good question. How about this? The industry is stuck in a lot of
Okay. Yeah,
legacy
I'll say-
thinking.
okay, and I'm going to add to it.
Yep.
I'm seeing the same headlines over and over.
Uh,
We're not getting news anymore. The headlines
Plus
are
we-
repeating.
plus
It's the future of, the psychology of, the
news
leadership of.
seems very
Boring. That's why no one's tuning in.
repetitive
That's not news.
and lacks depth.
Lacks depth. Wow.
Seems the same stories.
I'm so bored by the news. That's actually why I go to national news, because automotive news is, man, it's killing me. It's
Yeah.
boring.
Hey, you want to hear something really funny? So
Yeah.
I just got this book. I've been on the hunt for this thing for a year. It is a book that was written in 1915.
Wow.
Okay. So it's how to be a car salesman in 1915.
Awesome.
But there's a chapter in here. This is super funny. There's a chapter 19. It's about how to sell electric vehicles. Yes, in 1915, how to sell electric vehicles. Okay, and yeah, but hold on, let me get to it because it's so funny. Because as soon as I read, I had my son read it, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's like the exact same thing 110 years later." I was like, "Yeah, it's super weird." So
That's awesome.
this is
That's
it.
awesome.
You'll love this. The electric vehicle has a definite place in the automotive world. Have we heard that recently?
Wow.
But it has little in common with gasoline cars, obviously. Although serviceable and dependable, the electric has not yet reached its highest development. At the present, its fields of operation is limited almost entirely to city traffic. This is due to the fact that it cannot operate far from its base or charging station. Storage batteries are heavy, and until they can be lightened and made more efficient, the electric vehicle will be inferior to the gasoline propeller motor. This is only a matter of time for some of the best minds in the country that are engaged in solving this problem of electric. At the present stage of development, the electric is a pleasure vehicle in a woman's car. It's almost exclusively a societal vehicle. It has not been adopted to country use, and its simple control makes it admirably suited for women. Obviously, it's a little jaded from 1915, but it's very interesting how the dealer for an electric vehicle must maintain a garage and equipment to recharge batteries. It is literally like 110 years later, we're talking about the exact same thing.
You know what? Because of that, I nominate you for a general session on stage at the next major trade show, because what you just said is way more interesting than half of the submissions.
So it's super funny. So I got the
Right.
book. I was super excited because it
Terrible,
talks
Jay.
like how to sell. So
True.
um,
That's
okay,
awesome.
what's
And you
the
know what you made me
station
think of? You know what headline I left out?
Yeah.
Norway. How did Norway figure out how to make EVs work in a frozen landscape and get around that range anxiety? Norway figured it out.
Right. Yep.
Pretty
One,
interesting.
two.
That was this
Dominate.
week. That was this week's news, right, Jay?
Where did I see that? Any
That was this
idea?
week. Yeah, that was this week. It was all. It was in. I read it. I think in two different newspapers.
So that was national news.
Yes, that was national.
Not automotive news. Right?
Yeah.
I don't remember whether Automotive News reported on it or not. I think it was.
I'm not trying to pick on that brand, but I am saying this is that our industry news didn't make any money off that headline, so it didn't make it into the news. I'm going to be a little harsh because I think we have a problem. You know why we're stuck in the same headlines? Because it's all about money.
Well, I mean, if you look at the general news, right? If you look at the media as a whole, we get very little international news unless you really seek it out and go on BBC or some of those other things. Our network news in general is United States focused, and
States.
you get some on Bloomberg, of course, if you watch Bloomberg. But unless you're watching, of course, CNN International, and you get that. But
I think I saw it on Drudge actually, which kind of ventures out of the box. Which I think is, that would explain how Drudge got a foothold in news back in the day. Because people are looking for something beyond, U.S. News or U.S. Today or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So while we're doing this, David, what is he doing? He's prompting, right?
Yeah, it's responding to the questions. I'm assuming the output is going to give you some kind of like a market research or, product positioning or podcast positioning angle. I don't know the initial prompt. But one of the things I was thinking about is just with today, I know, there's a lot of opinions that I think people in certain industries have that they want to express, but they don't necessarily want to put their face on it. And I think one of the interesting things that I've seen recently are folks that are creating these podcasts using AI. So there's no face to the podcast. It's, some avatar or something. But people are kind of tuning into that. And I know that's not exactly the point of the show, but I do think that is an interesting aspect. And on top of that, one of the other things I was thinking about in terms of what Todd is working on right now, I recommend any of the deep research tools that allow you to do this. So you can basically work through what Todd is doing right now, and then you can have Chat GPT or whatever tool you're using give you kind of like a ultimate prompt that you give to deep research. It'll take like 10, 15 minutes, but it will go aggregate all of this data. It will help you figure out, what are people talking about on Reddit? What are people talking about on social media? Where's the gap and how can I fill that gap? And it will kind of apply kind of that lens of what's the angle here so that I can, attract and keep listeners. But yeah, that was just one of the things I was thinking of.
So, David, if I can just ask a question, so everybody in the audience, what is the right kind of prompt in order to get a GPT of any kind, whether it's Perplexity or Chat GPT, to do the deep research?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and really what it comes down to is your ability to articulate your thoughts. So if you are somebody that says, I want a blog post about automotive business, it's not super articulate, right? But
Right.
if you were saying, I want a blog post or I want a video about the automotive industry, I want it to take the angle of a logistics provider, whether it's broker or carrier or shipper, and I want to reference these three articles. I want to provide this supporting documentation or these, social proof, and then I want to include data, I want to include insights, I want to include something that's relevant to my target audience. Like that's a different level. And so I think that's where a lot of people struggle is because we think it's this magic button. But really what it is just the more detail and context you provide these prompts, the better they're going to perform.
That's an interesting comment because on a personal item recently, I went into Chat GPT the paid version, whichever one. I think that's 4.0. And I asked it to do research on a very specific item and for it to footnote um, its findings. And I got back a very quick answer, but it wasn't deep research. It came straight back and didn't really scrub everything like I had hoped it would.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly what happened. Because it's not quite like it's not quite clear in the UI. I have some issues with it, but you have to go in and select like I'm doing deep research. It doesn't come out just in the normal interface right now. But usually, and this is kind of a broader philosophy, is that anytime I'm working with these tools, I kind of have a couple of different workflows. So if I want to create a prompt for deep research, I'm going to talk to AI to strategize.
Yep.
And so I'm going to sit there for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and I'm going to talk to Chat GPT or Gemini and just say, this is what I'm trying to do. I need the prompt to give deep research, ask me questions to help me figure out, where my blind spots are or what I really want to accomplish. It gives me that. And the output from that, I take to deep research. So that's been really helpful for me. And it's the same with technical exercises, copywriting. It's just a general process that I have.
So I just want to mention, it seems like we have two tracks happening. We have research, and then we have tools and development. We're doing both things. Am I right about that?
The way I think about it is that at the end of the day, you're using these tools to accomplish a task, right? So I treat it very much like almost like a product development process where I'm ideating, I'm strategizing, then I'm coming up with, a plan. I'm looking for risks within that plan so I can say, oh, I didn't account for this thing. And then I'm breaking that plan down into the smallest steps so that I know I can, track what I've done. And then I have like an execution plan. Like, so it's just more of I don't think it's at the point where it's a one-stop shop. It's just more of, how
Right.
do you turn prompting more into like a workflow as opposed to, I just think this one prompt is going to give me an output that works.
So Todd's been prompting, and I took your screen away so I could go back to my TV shot. Please share your screen again.
Yep. I'm coming
And
in.
let me know.
So
So
basically,
we're doing that. We got research and development here.
Yep. So this is fun. So let me share my screen again. Oh, hold on. I gotta shrink this to come here.
Also, part of this experiment is that even though it's AI, it's still very time consuming for any company to try and do this. Someone's going to say, man, where do we start?
Yeah, but here, okay. So it made it a quick name. So it's called the Auto Pulse. This was based on all the prompting that we've been doing here for the past, 15 minutes now.
Okay.
So what I did was said, look, we don't want it to be like anything else. So instead of a long show, it was going to be a short show. Like I was like, okay, 15-minute show, right? So this.
Todd, did you say it was a 15-minute show or it suggested a 15-minute show?
No, I said, look, we don't want long format is not what people do. And I said, what is the best structure today? And if your choice is going very short, right? The TikTok economy and like our behavior like a goldfish, but can't do news inside seconds. So we ended up here 15 minutes. And the object is all this can be repurposed across platforms, right? With snippets. And then idea was provide a daily, weekly lifeline to time-starved automotive execs. Like, I need to know everything in a short bit of time, right? Fast-moving insights, interactive content, replace stale, recycled industry news. I think right up Jay's alley.
Yeah, we need a skip button.
Right. Yeah.
Skip.
So, well, here
Skip.
was it. So I said I did say take like Kramer's stock show as a structural understanding because it's such fast moving, he doesn't stick on any topic for long. So it gave us this show format, which whatever, it could be tweaked, right? So it starts with a hot sheet. So this is you rapid fire commentary, 2 to 3 things with analysis. So topic, what it was, here's some insight about it. Same 2 or 3 of them. Then a story, what we liked, the underdog story. So this is a something going
Lawsuit.
on, right? Whatever it is. Then execs
You love
on
a
the
good
move.
law. Jay
I
loves a
love
good
lawsuits.
lawsuit. Jake loves a good lawsuit.
Yeah, like everyone loves a good
Everybody
lawsuit,
does.
right?
Yeah.
Who's the FTC gonna hound today? And then execs on the move or vendors to watch, which is kind of interesting. People like to know, and people love to hear their name. So
Job changes.
This is
Job
super
changes.
helpful,
Yeah.
right?
Awards,
Local
no awards.
So here is taking any individual dealer and bringing one of his insights to life. Hey, this is a local dealer, but this is what he did, and this anyone in a nation could do this. And then here's your underdog spotlight. So this is kind of an interesting, here's how this GM flipped service absorption in 60 days or whatever it was. And then always leave with that future shock.
It's pretty good, Todd.
So
It is pretty good.
I tried to say, like, let's get a little use a little psychology in this, right? So obviously it's always opening with a startling stat or provocative question. Always reference a past episode, so you have that cross-reference thing. Obviously fast-paced, right? Open loops, end with teasers for next episode or cliffhangers. So you're always leaving them wanting more, right, Jay? This is your show, buddy, right now. So figuring it out.
Boy, are they wanting more right now, I can tell
Right.
you.
So high-level guests, groups, GM, OEMs, head regulators, anyone, right? Underdog story is going to be people in the trenches, right? So now you're taking the high guys, the low guys, everybody.
So I want to pause you for a second. So here's one of the things that I'm thinking. As we keep going forward, I'm wondering if we can have a choose your own adventure where the news is, okay, this is one version of the news, but maybe I skip right to the lawsuit and when the lawsuit's done, it's over. My point is, I'm wondering if I'm going to go with choose your own adventure style automotive news AI podcast that I'd rather have.
Yeah, maybe you could tag like a YouTube video with segments, so people could just move between the segments, and you annotate it. So
like we scroll TikToks. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
We are, yeah. That dealer, nah. That
Right.
OEM, nah. Car shipping blows.
Jay,
Repo sucks. Yeah.
Maybe you need to do. Maybe what comes out of this is you need to do like ATI Rapid or ATI headlines. Like, and in addition to this, you also do a 15-minute podcast once a week or once a day or whatever it is. This is suggested.
You know
And
what?
I like the idea of recapping it in an email newsletter.
Well, what's interesting is, based on what people have chosen they like, then I could do a recap on the most popular subject. Maybe.
Yeah, and you would be able to track it. So here it says record 5
But again,
pilots.
this doesn't have to be about me. And I think there's got to be people like, yeah, Jay, we like ATI, but not you. How do we get ATI without Jay?
Well,
I don't know
listen,
if it's
people want to
without-
live through the guests, right? And information. So you're the catalyst of that, right? Kind of, you have to make the other person the hero. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But here was a couple of things, like how to build it out, run a poll, test some hooks and format clips. So.
Can we pause on that for a quick second? Because
Yeah.
I think so. This is something I've done before. It was just kind of like a side quest for me personally. But you can kind of reverse engineer the whole thing where there are tools out there where you can you could go to an automotive transport Reddit, right? And you could figure out what are the most common topics being discussed. What are the pain points? I believe the specific tool is called Gummy Search.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that.
But it will analyze Reddit pages. It will show you the problems people are having, the pain points, people asking for solutions. You can bridge the gap that way. And so, if you were to kind of like take it to its the end of it, you could say, all right, these are the problems. Now let me go reverse engineer what hooks should I talk about. So let's see what's going viral on the internet. And then you kind of look at these are the hooks, this is the content that's popular, and then you can figure out what's the opening scene, what's the thumbnail, and it's there. The tools, the agents that are crawling the web, it's all available. It's just kind of understanding the call it the AI ecosystem that once you really get familiar and understand what's possible, it makes all of the steps that Todd is sharing.
God, and you're still in Chat GPT?
Yeah.
Right?
Listen, I'm just using a stock one. I wanted to do it that anybody could pop in and do this.
Yeah.
I didn't even add any of the tools like deep research. I'm running on 4.0, which is the most common model. It's not even a really reasoning model. This is anybody could do this, right? There's nothing special. It's not like one of my custom ones or anything. This is just here it is.
Okay.
So
well, and this is all again. I'm going to call this research. How?
Yep.
What do we use?
And here's here's your first 5 episodes.
What do we use to actually start making an AI podcast?
So
We need a
meaning,
host.
yeah. You're gonna make the AI the host? What do you want to do?
I'm glad I'm actually glad you
yeah.
asked that, Jay. I think so.
Yeah.
There's a tool called 11 Labs,
Yep.
and
I know that one. I'm learning
that's
more
the
about it.
one. I wasn't honestly,
Does voiceover.
I wasn't sure if we were making one live or what we were doing, but yeah,
We can.
you can.
And also, so this is one. I will say this, guys. This is one episode of what I think is a new series called Building an Automotive Podcast with AI. Because I really do believe of all the topics, this is the one that many execs want to know. I think there are 20, I wanted to say this, and then I'll try to take a break. 20, as far as talking, I think there are 20 plus big companies that have already dipped a toe into marketing, media, newsletter, podcast, and someone in their executive lineup is like, how do we do this? How do we get AI to replace this cruddy podcast we've got? It's inconsistent. It's random. We're tired of spending the money. What do we can we code it? Right?
I think it still comes back to the strategic question of what is the audience looking for? And I think until people answer that question, whatever the medium is, whether it's an AI generated podcast, it's a live podcast, it's whatever it is, I think it's going to be tough. And I think sometimes it's more of like a top down thing.
Tough. Yes.
Like top down where this is what I think people want to know, but there are tools and workflows that you can automate and create to like figure out basically doing customer research, essentially, or audience and market research that will show you this is what's talked about online. This is where the views are going. And it's not necessarily that you need to chase views, but you do need to understand the audience. And I think the more people that kind of adopt that mentality, the better they'll be.
So Jay, can I hop in and ask a question?
Yeah.
Podcasts versus Clubhouse. Now,
To me, it's the same.
well, but here's the difference. Going back to a theme that we talked about before. On Clubhouse, people can hear and see themselves talking and interacting with the other people, right? Clubhouse is more interactive than a podcast or a webcast. And people like that interaction. In fact, I don't remember where I was, but I maybe I was on a plane or a train waiting to take off or leave or whatever it was. It was late. It was like 11:30 at night, and I had nothing to do. I was just sitting there. I said, well, let me see what's going on in Clubhouse. There were people in the automotive community talking about what happened that day and the ups that they were taking and how the managers did TOs at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not uncommon.
That's I don't know what that says about your audience. Maybe those people are your audience, to David's point, and maybe they're not your audience.
So, all right, so let's pause for a second. All right. In this scenario, as I see it, a clubhouse of everyone in that clubhouse at that time pretty much had similar jobs in a dealership, right?
Most of them, I would say, were in sales. I mean, I was only in the room for 5 minutes
So
last.
what I'm saying is that's more of like a meeting than a podcast. But I know that some clubhouse they try to be shows, and that's why I said they're like podcasts. So I would say you have meetings and you have podcasts, but or shows. But here's what I want to ask. I want to hold that thought because I think you're asking a good question. But what is news? What are people talking about? Because I feel like this is why I brought up the automotive traditional media sources. I gotta think most people are skipping half of the stuff that's posted as if that was what we want to know about. It's not what we want to know about. How do we know what news is?
I think I'll try to say it in different words, but I think the difference is, journalism is kind of top down. It's I'm going to investigate this thing based on whether it's some committee or whatever. But the internet kind of flips it on its head, where whether people are saying it or not directly, you can figure out what's going on based on a topic getting a certain amount of views. You can see comments on websites and videos. You can see, activity on TikTok across social media. And you can use data and to figure all of that out. Like it's not that much of a secret. It's just not applied all of the time.
I don't think it's applied at all in our industry. In fact, right, we all have YouTube, and yet every single one of our YouTube homepages is different. You can have a billion people have TikTok, and as they scroll, they're all slightly different, accustomed based on what they've been watching and seeing and doing and reading.
Right.
That's how automotive news needs to get.
You're saying an automotive news with a TikTok algorithm.
Yeah, so it's personalized for what I care about,
I think
rather than this hard
Yeah.
newspaper.
what I
So
would
I
just add
understand
really-
like TikTok's algorithm. It's called the Bandit. So the algorithm is designed very specifically that everything's cards and it's just a long stream of cards, and it puts a card in front of you. When you watch it, it then goes, oh, I'm going to insert similar cards above it because you respond to that. If you hover over it, it's going to maybe 4 cards above insert another one and see if you hover and pause over that. So what you're doing is creating a self-fulfilling destiny of content. Like whatever you end up liking is really, you're going to see more and more of it. So it's called it's called a bandit, like one-armed bandit, like a casino. That is how that algorithm is designed. It's very specific. It's very addictive on purpose. Now, Instagram has tried to copy it, and others all have leaned into that because look what TikTok has done. It has captured attention, and how these large companies make money is more time you're on their platform. More attention means more ads, more likely you're going to click into something and buy it. And that's how this is how this piece works. Now, if you frame that and then go back and maybe you reprompt it and say, I love TikTok, I love the Bandit algorithm, let's brainstorm together some tactics to create a podcast that is constrained to how those systems operate. I don't know what would come out, but it would probably be interesting.
And I just thought of this. LinkedIn, if you marked it insightful, not if you like it. If you like it, I don't care. That's not real. Likes are for doing business. If someone marked it insightful, that might show up in my Bandit. David, you were going to say.
No, I think the concept that I want to get across is it's different across each platform because you have to consider, LinkedIn, whether it's networking as an objective for a user, whether it's TikTok as escapism for a user, or whether it's YouTube for information or podcast for passively absorbing information. There's different kind of motives around each. And so outside of the platform, it's kind of the same thing. It's how do you capture attention from the beginning? How do you retain attention throughout the length of your content? And then what's your kind of call to action at the end that gets them to take the next step, whatever that may be.
And that's my choice. Entertain me, teach me, keep me awake.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, I mean, aren't we? What we're really trying to say here is, in an ideal world, ATI would do something for all the salespeople, sales managers, and general sales managers, right? There'd be a different podcast for the fixed op people. There'd be a different podcast.
Essentially, yes.
There'd be a different one
Yes.
for parts.
Tailor-made.
There'd
Yes.
be a different one for the dealers who don't need to hear about the parts, right? And so, even though they're the decision maker on all of those things,
And they might learn something about transport or something, but they don't have to.
right?
Just like 925 Logistics doesn't have to listen to another fixed ops. He doesn't care.
But I think that's just kind of combining two things here. So what Todd was just, alluding to was on TikTok, it matches you with the content that you prefer. So I almost think of it like Google, like blogging back in 2000, whatever, 2000, 2005. And you could fill out the search engine with enough keywords, and then people searching for that thing would find you. TikTok does that just based on your view time, how long you stay on a video, if you like, bookmark, etc. And so figuring out the same thing for across platforms is kind of the name of the game.
The secret ingredient here is I want a new form of automotive media that doesn't treat me like I'm a fool. That I'm just able to be sold. I just
But-
think it's
But
we've
that's your
run
bias.
amok. It's
But that's-
not good.
But that's
Yeah, it's
your
a bias.
bias, Jay.
It's a bias. I don't think I'm alone though. But you're
Well-
right, it is my bias.
No. What I'm saying is, people would love to be amused and also get some education, right? That's probably why. And I
Absolutely.
never thought of it. Like late night TV, they always have a monologue with current events, right?
That's right.
And so they're trying to entertain as well as educate. But people don't. If people want to be educated, they'll seek out.
I don't think we need the monologue anymore. Yeah, we don't. Skip.
But that's why, right? That's why it's there.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, but what if? And this, because do you know Morning Brew? Who sees Morning Brew? You know what bothers me about Morning Brew? I see the headline. That's what I want to learn about, and then I open it and I'm like, "Where's the headline? I don't even know where
Right.
that went." Now I got to read all this other crap I don't want to read. Just give me the headline. Whatever that is, whatever that one thing is, because I don't want to sift. And I'll tell you what, there's an email thread that goes out every week. A lot of energy and time is put into it, but I don't want to sift through that either. I don't know how AI helps me get to where I want to go. And I want to be a part of figuring this out, because someone's going to figure this out,
So
because it doesn't exist yet.
Todd and
Yeah.
David, can you train your AI to do deep research on the internet every day and return topics that are interesting to you, similar to doing like a keyword return on Google?
Yeah, I don't even know if you would necessarily need AI to accomplish that. This is kind of interesting because Jay and I had this experiment. I don't know when that was, Jay, but Jay was looking
I know.
for
6
highly-
months ago, 8 months
Yeah,
ago.
it was
Yeah, you
highly
can build a
curated-
scraper for that. That's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was-
but it didn't find the news that I wanted to talk about.
And this is what I was kind of like what I was talking about earlier in the show was that when we say the content that I want, we have to be so specific with these tools to
Right.
say that I want content related to lawsuits that dealerships are dealing with. I only want content that's related to logistics companies going out of business. I only want content related to brokers who are found to be guilty of Ponzi schemes. Like It's like whatever you like. You just have to
Nice, David.
like you have
Nice.
to be.
Yeah, you have to niche down, like
And
really,
then
really niche
You
down.
And
really
then
have
if
to be
I
specific.
see, but this is where I want to go. If I like this article, I'm going to go with brokers only interested in Ponzi schemes. Then I want to learn more about Ponzi schemes, and I'm off the automotive map, and I'm into other learning. You know what I Googled today? Okay, I was buying something, and the amount was 1913. Okay, I'm at a store. It was 1913. And later I'm like, 1913? What happened in 1913? So I start Googling
Titanic sank, didn't it?
Franz
Didn't the Titanic
Ferdinand.
sink in 1913?
I don't know, maybe. But you see, I'm not even on the original point.
But wait a minute.
This just, and I think this is how our minds work. We follow threads.
There's there's no there's no AI for ADHD.
Ah,
Pretty
man,
much.
I'll tell you what.
That gets a bell
That's
ring,
the
right?
gold mine right there, Tom. That's why you're on this show. I'm telling you what you just said. There needs to be AI for ADHD.
I understand.
That's the answer. That's how you solve this. You remember? Do you know what vines are? Who knows what vines are?
I don't.
I'm old enough to, yeah, I remember.
Kids
Yeah, I
were
remember
watching
Vines.
Vines that like 7, 8 years ago, and Vines are just what, like weird videos that crawl. Anyways, that's what I think we need from automotive media. I know it doesn't sound professional, but people would like it.
One thing to add, I've thought about this a lot recently. I think with the overproduction of content recently, where you have, these round tables and it looks super produced and edited, like that doesn't resonate with people. And something that I heard that really stuck with me was kind of like low quality is the new high quality because people just trust it. They feel like I'm just talking to
People want
a
genuine,
relatable
right?
person.
Well, then people must
want
love this show. No.
Right, David? They want somebody who's genuine. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be slick. It just has to be real and honest and straightforward. Like, here's the information. Here's what it is. If you want to talk about it, call me. If you don't, have a great
And
day.
Clubhouse, that's what Clubhouse has, right?
No,
No?
Nah.
I don't think
That's
so.
too bad. I thought
Yeah.
Clubhouse had
Hey,
that.
but I'm still stuck on 1913. I haven't left it. I was wrong. Titanic sunk in 12. Ford perfected the assembly line in 13. The Hudson came out. First coast to coast highway. And Grand Central Station opened in New York. And the most crazy part, this was the birth of the Federal Reserve. I knew that
Okay.
date hit.
Dude,
So there you go.
dude.
I just vined you a bunch of ways to go.
And can you imagine what if we were soaking up that knowledge instead of yet another blah blah about leadership or whatever? What's happened to our search for actual knowledge? Have we been talked out of it?
Well, I think, I think people. I think there's a lot of things going on. We should have a psychologist on the show
Yeah, you
tonight
better get a
because-
therapist on
because
here.
because people do people go on the internet for their work? Yes. Do they go there to escape? Yes. Do they go there to shop? Yes. Do they go there to be entertained? Yes. Do they go to learn stuff? Yes. And so and these are not mutually exclusive pursuits. They're conforming. I guess I don't know if that's the right word, but you can go on for all 5 of those things. You could go on right now to look for it. Like you want to look at one thing, but you want to be entertained. You want to get the information.
But I don't want to look for it. This is the ADHD solution. It needs to come to me.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Come to me.
In Texas, they're now doing drone deliveries, so maybe we can drop a newspaper in your house every day.
Or a video in front of my food.
Right.
Actually, let me ask you this, Jay. Are you on TikTok or any of the like YouTube Reels or anything?
So I have gotten caught in the YouTube Shorts
Or
scroll.
shorts, yeah.
But I'm aware of it and I just kind of stop. Now, Kimberly, she's my significant other. I don't have TikTok, but she does. I used to have it. Lots of great recipes. but she will go TikTok, 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 tick. And I think that that's really common. And I see there's an allure there that's like, wow, I can just, and I'm now choosing my own adventure. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. It's genius. I freaking love how genius it is.
Essentially the same thing. Like, one of the things that Todd was going through in the prompt was repurposing content, right? So, given the sheer amount of videos you've created, I've worked with
Right,
people.
I know,
I've
right?
worked with people. We've created like we can distill a transcript from a Zoom call down into like your personality, your
But
core.
so we need like ATI hot takes TikTok. How do you do that?
Opus clips.
Oh yeah,
What clips, David?
Opus clips. OP,
not open.
yeah,
That's not Opus Pro. Opus Clips.
Opus clips. And so what you can do, because you own the content, you can run it through there. I don't know how much it will cost you to go through your entire catalog. However, it will take your YouTube videos and then turn them into clips and reels for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, whatever
Okay,
you want to do.
that is Opus Pro. Okay, I'm just gonna share it. I have used this. This is a cool program. So you go to opus.pro. But how would you, and you can drop in a video link, but how would you drop in a library? Can you do that?
You can't drop a library,
No.
what I understand,
You
but
do one
drop a
video at
link
a
to your
time.
YouTube page and
Yeah.
then get free clips, and then it turns everything into the shorts and reels and TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jay,
Part of, yeah,
this is
Tom.
this is the part where I say I have to get
Yeah,
up at 4 to get a 5 o'clock
I
train.
know.
So
Crazy. Yeah.
into New York City, I'll be at the World Trade Center tomorrow. So last call for me, because
Yeah.
because
He's
I
got
got
to
to get
go.
up at 4 a.m.
And truth is, we won't stay much longer. We will wrap up after Tom goes. Anybody have any final thoughts for Tom?
Uh, no, just I love your octopus back there, Tom.
Tentacles, right?
Tom, I love your creativity. But you must have multiple brains, because I know on compliance you can rock compliance, but you're also very creative, so you're very dynamic. That's why I had you here tonight. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate you
Thank
having
you
me
so
on.
much,
Always,
Tom.
always happy. David, good to see you. Todd, good to see you.
Likewise.
Oh, he's
See you,
Safe
got
Tom.
travels.
Okay.
Okay, man. And I'll put him in the waiting room. Oh, he's gone. He beat me to it. Um, David, I kind of like your idea of the library. That's interesting. I hadn't thought. I have not. I don't even know where I'd start with
With
content.
with Opus clips?
Well, yeah, with Opus Clips, using my content. And I feel inclined not to do it, but there's a lot of great stuff in my library.
It will just save you a bunch of time. I think that's the main thing. Like
Yeah.
if you take this episode, run it through Opus clips, and it takes, 100, 60 to 100 credits, and that's worth like $3, and it saves you hours of editing time. That's, just
Right.
and
Okay, truth, I now use different Magic Clips AI, and I no longer edit. But I still edit. I still fine cut it, but I let it find the edit, the rough edit. But I do know what you're saying. Yeah, like if I go to Opus Pro, I can drop in a video link. I can let it just create clips, and I don't even have to edit. Right? It's just
you just
clips.
wait 5 to 10 minutes and it's done.
And what I'll say is, what I'm tempted to do, I don't know about current content. I'm so skeptical that I'm even down on my own stuff sometimes. But my dispatcher training series gets so many views that actually that might be where I would start. And it's so long, too, that
Yeah.
maybe some hot takes from that would be good.
I think the volume is going to tell you if you were to, assuming you go through your entire, catalog all of the videos you've ever created, run them through shorts and reels. Let's say that's, I don't know, let's call it 10,000 clips, right? If you kind of drip that out over the course of 3 months, you will have so much data that you know what you need to talk about because you know it's getting views and you know it's getting traction. That's kind of the way to think about it. It's not so much that you have to figure out what people want, although that's, a recommendation I would make, but you put out content and you see what resonates with people, and then you double down on what works and you stop putting out what people aren't watching, and that's kind of the name of the game.
Thank you, David. That's a good idea. Todd, I want you to share your screen again. I want to see where you're at.
Same place I was. So
Yeah, dude. He's like, what is this? Okay, here's what I want to do. We did some good research. I think we talked about some good ideas. I want to schedule another show in the future where we actually start building. Is there a way, like David, we looked at building some tech. Is there a way that we can can we take Showtime and actually build something?
Yeah, I think just in kind of prepping for the show, not knowing exactly what we were doing, and
Yeah, I mean, I threw you in, it's
no, no, it's all
throwing
good. It's all
rolls.
good. It's
Yeah.
just there's using 11 Labs. I was toying with it just to see what was possible, and ran it through ChatGPT. Very similar to what Todd is doing, but the
Yep.
output for me was a podcast script. So then I could take that script and then go to 11 Labs and say, "This is Jay, the
Right.
host of the show. This is the guest of the show, or this is the panel," and then just see what that sounds like. The
So,
transcript isn't that great, but like it was just kind of interesting what it came
It,
up with.
it would be more fun to turn Jay into an avatar with Cynthia or
yes.
something, and
Yes.
then plug it all together, and then Jay can go live on an island, upload his content, and then it auto creates it and goes.
I love it. I love it. What what I'm thinking is, Todd, what we could do is
Actually,
Todd,
because this
we could
content is
take well, we already have voiceover. We could take the GPT output, Todd, that you kind of created, and give it to an 11 Labs voiceover with some content to fill that structure and see if we could get a version 1.0 of some, AI robot automotive podcast. Could we try that?
Yeah, I think you could. I could take that frame of the 15 minutes and say, now we need to write a script as if put fake news in it. Just write it and give it to David, and I'm sure he can load it up and play with it and get your voice and go for it.
Yeah, I kind of thought that's what we were gonna do. I was a little I was prepping for it a little bit. I didn't know exactly like how to tailor the conversation, but yeah, I've been tinkering around with some of these voice AI tools. I think there's some really interesting use cases. There was this tool that I built in the last like week or so, but data that's difficult to access. I don't know if that's I'm trying to make it relatable to logistics in some way, but calling people and asking what their rates are for a given lane, and the dispatcher responds, or the whoever is, requesting information, they can say, "Oh, this is the rate for this lane," and you can create these voice agents that just go collect that information and just run in the background. So you almost like you have this voice AI running in the background, collecting real time information about what a move costs from A to B. And you can just run that at scale. Now, is it costly right now? Yes.
Yeah.
But and I won't go into the use case I'm using it for, but just playing around with these tools where I can test it out. I can pretend to be a broker or a shipper, and it calls and asks me, "Hey, what's it cost to go from? I got a 9 car hauler going from Houston to New Orleans," and I respond. I go, "Oh, it's about $900," and it'll ask me a couple follow-up questions. It'll confirm, and then it will send that data to like a spreadsheet or something that I want to store it. And I just think it's, such an interesting time when we're talking about voice AI specifically, because this is related to podcasts as well. But the amount of things you can do, it's I don't know. I just get really hyped up
So
about it.
I want
Yeah,
to
I love
add,
it.
well, and maybe Todd, maybe you're thinking something like this, is that I feel like what you said was something that I'm thinking and I've already added to the mix, and that is that voice AI is absolutely a part of whatever future I think there is within media and
Yeah, and you
products
can build
and
on something
everything.
like AI. Not the cheapest, but you can
Mm.
build so fast applications to take inbound phone calls or anything. It's pretty wild. So
Wow.
That's I totally it's wild. Like it's the
it
wild
is
west.
wild. It's like
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
I'm
really
just
crazy.
like, oh, I don't like that voice.
Is
Nope.
is it
Give it now. I want an accent. Nope, I want a man. Nope, I want this. I want that. Oh, I want background noise. So it sounds like call center. Toot, 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 toot. I'm like, toot, 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 toot. And just within 15 minutes, man, you can spin it up, call it. I could call you and it would sound like I'm in a service shop.
whoa. I want to see that demo.
It's crazy because us as humans, if we just hear a voice, it's one thing. If we hear background, the voice becomes like amazingly more authentic. It's something with our brain. I
I
don't know.
totally agree with that. So I bought a CD 20 plus years ago. It's called Computer Office Sounds. And I bought it, right, so that if I was making calls, I had computer office sounds in the background. I never used it. I just thought the idea was awesome.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
that
think
I totally believe that. Yeah, I like the service
There's an
shop idea.
absolute thing. And when you hear it then with some background, I mean you don't need to hear a power guy like wee wee like pulling like lugs off, but you just hear like, oh, this it just sounds more legit too.
I think one of the most interesting things just in all of AI for me has just been like how do you I was saying it earlier about how you articulate your thoughts. It's like when we're having this conversation and let's say I like use the word like to transition to something, that's that's programmed into these things. So the
Yes.
pauses that I
Filler
take,
words. Yeah.
The
the
pause, the inflections.
yeah, the
I
inflection and like all of
Todd
that just
Todd was talking about Notebook LM, and after that last show, I started using some Notebook LM, and I created some like podcasty
yeah.
talks, and I am super impressed with with what Notebook LM, like I admired the way they were talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent.
Notebook
Todd, you
LM.
were the AI is like electricity quote. Am I remembering
Yeah,
that?
that was
That's okay, that's
Todd.
okay. So I was wondering, okay,
He, yeah.
okay.
Todd, did you say AI? You put your canoe in the water?
Yeah, look, I feel like anyone who's
I've used that
building
twice
things
already.
today, like you
Yeah.
have to start building because there is an inherent time. Like if you build and train a model, and I wait while you build and train it, now I jump in to the river 6 months from now, I'm not going to catch you. Your model is already trained, it's learning, it's faster. Like we laugh internally because like our one model, our algo, is able to predict at 79.84%. We can predict the year, make, model, and trim of the car you will buy. And it's funny because we laugh and it's the worst it's ever going to be. Like
Right.
everything here is going to get closer. And look, I don't think we get to 100% just because humans are humans and they'll pull a crazy Ivan and buy something that was totally off script. But that being said, we're getting way more accurate at predicting what happens next, and because that's what an LLM is. All it is like it's been trained on an LLM has been trained on tons of data to predict the next letter, predict the next word, predict the next sentence. So when you extrapolate that, it's amazing at finding patterns. And you lump all that together. So what we're predicting is we're looking over all the customers' transactions, all Equifax data we have, behavioral data. We mash all this together, and we did a test with 1,000 people, and we already had what they bought. So we trained the model and said, predict what they're going to buy. And even our whole shot was 60 some percent accurate. And I was like, I'm a car guy. So I was like, nah, Yancey, that's not good enough. What? I don't even believe you. 1,000's not enough. Yancey's like, Todd, I needed less than 100 people to make this model like MIT level. And he's an MIT double doctorate. He's like, this algo is accurate. So he worked on it all weekend. And then I was like, run more data. So he ran 100,000 people through it, and it got better. So it came up to 79.84% accurate. So I think it's just time. It'll keep getting better. But that's the world we're heading towards. Like predicting, we're insanely predictable creatures. We think we're snowflakes, Jay. And I know you're a quasi snowflake, but in reality, we live in one of 74 cohorts of personality.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Did like a reverse psychology.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking. I think build an AI podcast in automotive needs follow-up shows, and we're going to build this thing. Let's put our canoe in the water.
Sure. Let David, perfect for it. I'm here to be a part.
And we got the research, and then we have the development. I'm going to stick with that because we have the theory, and then we have the how do we do it.
Yep.
We did a lot of theory tonight. I want to see some do it next show. Can we do that?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're no longer for like this is no longer just a talk. We're gonna actually try to do something.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And we'll just use this platform as that time when we do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Email me. I have to run too. I got to get off to keep going. But
Hey, July 8th or July 15th? Tuesday night. Are either of those any good? Tuesday night, July 8th, or Tuesday night, July 15th? Are either of those any good?
The 15th works better for me, but can we do the 15th?
I can do the 15th.
Yeah, I can do the 15th. Put it in.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do. I love it. So July 15th, we're going to do the next installment of Let's Build an AI podcast for automotive.
Okay. And hey, David, make sure you connect up with me. So.
Well, let's do. I'll send out an email. We'll throw around some ideas so we're a little bit more prepared. But thank you guys. Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thanks.
I really, really appreciate it.
Hi. Bye, guys.
See ya.
See you, Todd. See you, David. All right. Wow. Part of what's happened for me on this platform, it is interesting. I've got this huge library, and frankly, I think most people don't care, and that's fine. But what do people care about? Like what will help people? It's not just about getting views and likes and attention. What could people use? And I think I'm seeing it. I think companies, they all want their own podcast. Okay, so what would actually help companies get to the podcast that they want to put out? Because is it about the host? Is it about just the things that company likes? It's not getting enough engagement. I see associations doing this. Associations are a perfect example. I see associations that are dying for good content. They're connected to a show. They're trying to put out a podcast, and it's just not working. And number one, like, you don't have to rhyme everything or, stop pretending like, that you're going to wake up and write a poetry book or whatever. Consult a professional. Fine if you don't want to talk to me. But I'm telling you that I have immersed my life in media and I want to help crack this nut. So we're going to continue to do Let's Build an AI Automotive podcast. On July 15th, we're going to do, what I'm hoping we'll do is a little bit of code and see if we can get something moving. Because really all we did tonight was theory, which is fine, which is good. And I think that honestly, we need to Just be honest that a lot of, how many sessions at trade shows do you go to? And I know you can't tell anybody this, but you're bored. Everybody else is bored. They're scrolling through their phones. It's mostly empty seats. It's not working. Now, there are some sessions where it is full and people are engaged. Why? What's different about the full engaged session versus the boring? What's different? And which one's more common? And what's happening with company and association podcasts? Why can't they get going? What are the problems? What I want to see is make a list of your problems. I'm still making lists of things that I think are problems, but I'd love to hear from some individuals out there that think differently and have their own ideas of what's good and what's bad. I know I don't think anybody's going to say anything, but that's fine. Anyways, we'll have another episode. That's what we're going to do. So stick around. Let's see, there's no show Thursday. I'm only doing half the shows I was doing. And frankly, I'm spending more of my time on AI and how to use AI to make the next generation of audio and video, and not just in automotive. Things are changing, man. A lot's changing fast. So I'm here to help. Let me know how I can, if I can, or whatever. Send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. That's cool. Whether you're live or on demand, you're on the podcast. I appreciate it. Let me know how I can help. Here comes the car hauler. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you. Oh, man.